Welcome to Top Advisor Marketing, where you will learn how to become a prolific online influencer, attract more ideal clients, and grow your practice. Brought to you by Top Advisor Podcasting, a done-for-you podcasting solution built just for trusted advisors. And now, your co-hosts of Top Advisor Marketing, Kirk Lowe and Matt Halloran.
Hello and welcome to another Top Advisor Marketing podcast. Today we are going to feature an author, and she has written the book Flourish Financially, Values, Traditions, and Big Conversations. Her name is Kathy Longo, CFP. She's president and founder of Flourish Wealth Management. Kathy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Now, as we were preparing for the podcast, we try to find out a little bit more about who you are and what makes you tick. And 17% of our industry happens to be women in financial services. So this isn't, and I'm going to air quote, a normal career path. Tell us about how you got to where you are, not just being an author, but being such a successful, award-winning, even financial services professional.
Well, I feel so fortunate to have discovered financial planning as a career opportunity. So I went to Purdue University and I was majoring in economics and just happened to stumble across this major called financial planning. And back like 25 plus years ago, that really wasn't, there were very few schools that had that as a major. So I took the first class, which was personal finance, and I couldn't believe that you could do this for a living. I loved the technical aspect, but more so I loved that you could learn about people's lives and their stories and put all of those components together.
When I've spoken in places, it's always interesting to me to ask how many people love that aspect of their job, right? And it's also surprising to me how many people don't have degrees in finance. They have degrees in things like communications or therapy and or psychology, sociology. As you have continued to grow throughout your career, you have some magnificent designations. I love the fact that you have your CDFA, which is the divorce planning, and then you also have is it the chartered financial? What is it? The charitable giving one?
Yeah, Chartered Advisor in Philanthropy.
Right.
So I have that too.
Yeah, and that's through the American College. And if those of you who don't have the CDFA or the CAP, and if you are interested in having real deep conversations, especially about what we're going to talk about, which is this book, Flourish Financially, Values, Traditions, and Big Conversations, those are magnificent educational programs that really give you, I believe, a competitive edge. Let's talk about marketing, right? So you have, again, when I wasn't joking about the award-winning thing, guys, you should look on her website. I mean, she's all over the place for honors and recognition. Kathy has done an amazing job of getting her name out there and really doing great jobs for her clients. How have you gotten to this level of success? Is this just an intrinsic thing? I mean, are you just naturally this freaking awesome? Help me with that.
It's really driven by just a curiosity and learning more. And so exposing myself to new opportunities. For example, even my history of, I worked at a small fee-only financial planning firm right out of school. And that woman was really my mentor in how my life is going to progress to where now I own my own financial planning firm. So I started Flourish Wealth Management about 5 years ago. But I've been at other size firms, partners in large RIAs and big accounting firms too. So I've just had a lot of opportunity and exposure to the financial planning profession. And I'm usually one that I'll say yes. And that just creates new opportunities for me.
I've always been a big fan of saying yes. In fact, I remember when Kirk Lowe said to me, "Hey, Matt, let's start a company." Okay, yeah, let's do that. And, a lot of times, sometimes just those yeses open up magnificent doors, which has obviously happened with you. Do you mentor anybody now, Kathy? I've found that people who have had mentors generally at some point in their career will do the same thing for other people.
Other than my staff right now, which we have an ongoing mentor relationship, I don't have another outside mentor. I am on the CFP program, willing and waiting to be a mentor to someone, but I am always putting myself out there for mentor opportunities, both longer term ones. But I get a lot of calls from other professionals that are either seeking advice on how to start their own firm or maybe leaving a larger firm like I did. And I'm always willing to put myself out there and even give them that hour because I learned so much by giving back to them. It's just a very rewarding experience.
Well, let's talk about putting yourself out there, because when you write a book, that's really putting yourself out there. What was the genesis of your authorship?
Writing a book was always on my one of the things I wanted to accomplish in life. And then I also really believed in the power of marketing that book could have. And you're right, when you say putting yourself out there is so true. It definitely comes from a place of vulnerability. As in my book, I have a lot of my own personal stories with money. And I put my husband out there too, as I encouraged and maybe more made him tell his stories around money too. So it's been one of those opportunities where the feedback and my goal has been realized in that people are reading the book and really getting a better sense of who I am as a person, as a financial advisor. And it gives them that immediate trust in knowing more about me.
And that's what good marketing's for, Kathy, right? It's that idea and the ability to build a relationship with people before they ever walk in the door. And I don't think people do that as successfully with a book. How are you getting the book out into the marketplace so people do read it?
We've always done a lot of content writing and social media, and using the book and putting that also out there. We're also, sharing it with our clients, giving them copies to share to other advisors, sending it to all of our centers of influence so they share the book. And so there's just been a lot of excitement. And the book just came out in September, so it's pretty new in terms of our release. And it's just a great takeaway to, I always have a copy with me. So anybody that I meet, whether in like a nonprofit organization, I'm involved in several nonprofits, I'm always sharing a copy of the book. So it's a nice business card takeaway. And books are something that people, they don't throw books away. They're more valued and people will take a look at the book.
Absolutely. So for those of you listening to the podcast, right there, if you just write down what Kathy said, and whether this is with a book, a white paper, a podcast, or anything, she just listed off everybody each of you need to share your thought leadership with, right? And this is how your thought leadership starts gaining legs and you truly become an influencer. Now we're going to talk about the book. What was it like writing the book? I know so many advisors and professionals, whether they're CPAs or estate planning attorneys, real estate agents, who really want to write a book. If you don't mind, let's just take a few minutes and talk about the process of writing the book, how long it took you, and what the experience itself was like for you. So help us.
Yeah, so it took about a year to write the book through all the various edit stages. And I came across a firm called Advantage Media. They were at one of the conferences I was at for Financial Planning Association. The title was So You Want to Write a Book. And I immediately saw the value of how a book could be used in marketing. Sometimes people go with the approach of like, oh, I have to sell so many copies of the book. That's really not it. If you can gain, several new clients from that book, that cost can more than make up for itself. So I partnered with Advantage Media, and they were almost like like a book coach for me. So I had an editor that we sat down together. We had basically like an hour and a half call where I described my idea for the book, but I really didn't know the formula for writing books. So my book's broken into 3 sections. So the first is all about values, understanding your history with money, your money story. The second part is all about transitions. So planning for those key transitions, career, retirement, the divorce, death. And the last part's all about big conversations. So the necessary but sometimes uncomfortable conversations that we can be having with our partner, with our kids, with our parents, and even with our friends, really breaking down that taboo about money. But by talking my vision of the book, they really helped me think about the book in those 3 segments. And then what we did is we worked chapter by chapter. And the woman that I worked with, she was a journalist by background. And so she would basically prep me for thinking about my chapters. So she'd come with questions like, and I have a lot of different client stories, twisted a little bit just so that it wouldn't be completely identifiable information from the client. But like she would tell me, like, ask me, oh, tell me about a story where fear really got in the way of a client dealing with money. And so it prompted me to start thinking, and then I would start to work. I gave up a lot of weekends doing this work because it was, I found I couldn't really do it during the day hours with regular client work, but it was rewarding too. It was fun to think about my own story, and then also to really put together a book that was not all about the technical aspects of money. I went to Barnes & Noble in my research and was looking at a lot of the money books, and a lot of them were so dense. This book, I wanted to be approachable, where people could start to feel more connected to their money. And then we went through kind of back and forth through many stages of editing. I would say, because I had a lot of blog content out there, that we were able to kind of look to see what had I already pulled together and repackage some of that into the book too.
I'm glad that there's companies that exist out there like that. And in fact, now I need to reach out to them and get them on a podcast. That'd be super awesome. So we'll talk about that afterwards to make sure that I can reach out to them. Because again, I think there are a lot of people who want to write books and they don't truly understand the process because they're not authors. Now, you broke it down, as you said, in 3 sections, and you also communicated what each of those 3 sections mean. Do you do any sort of public speaking? What other ways are you getting out in marketing? Because it sounds to me like you've either had media training or you're just naturally good at communicating these things. How are you taking this and getting it out to clients, referral centers of influences? Help us a little bit more with how you market yourself overall.
That has been another aspect of really laying out the opportunities with the book. So I have taken those different chapter titles, or the different chapters, and use that for speaking events. So speaking with different nonprofits and events that they wanted to have for their key donors. So I spoke with Women's Foundation locally, and we talked a lot about philanthropy, which is one of my designations, which there's a huge section in the book about being more mindful of one's philanthropy goals. And I worked with another organization, and we talked about how to work with the generations in money. So it's been a great way to just take that topic and repurpose it into speaking events, and then use it for kind of continued blog opportunity too, those same topics. We really have done a lot of work in conversations around money and how people can approach those conversations with their key loved ones.
Do you say that you have a niche? Like, is there a specific type of people that you work with?
There are. So we really work a lot with women and their families. About 42% of our clients are women-led financial planning relationships, and they come to us usually via like a key transition, whether it's inheritance, a divorce, a death, or women that are really trying to be mindful and thinking about the next stage, like retirement.
Inside that group, how do you break that down? How many of those women are coming to you from divorce specifically? Do you have a rough number?
There's not one that overweights the other.
Oh, okay.
Without going into like my Salesforce data, I'd have to, I think it's probably about like 20% each, but
okay.
that would be good to break down the source.
I just think it's fascinating because your education, right, your advanced education as a financial services professional has opened those doors probably even more because you're able to speak so intelligently on each of those 3 topics. Yeah, I'm not trying to give you homework, Kathy. I just thought I'd ask because I thought that was okay. So you mind if we switch gears just a little bit? Because I would love to find out a little bit more about what makes you tick. As a Top Advisor Marketing podcast, it's very important for us to find out how you're marketing. But I think a lot of people say, okay, well, where does she get the energy? Where do you get the drive? Where do you get the confidence? Which is where these next line of questions should uncover that. Do you mind if I ask you a couple of things about yourself?
Sure.
So when you're not working, how do you recharge your batteries?
With my family, so family activities, family dinners, with definitely exercise. So I want to make that every morning. I start off and head to a class, and I'm one that I have to schedule it. So if I'm scheduled like to go to an Orange Theory Fitness, I will show up because there's a late fee. So I do a lot of like scheduling my exercise ahead of time to make sure I show up. With some time away. So vacation is really important to me. That got some fun trips planned. My oldest is graduating from college this year, and so we're heading to Eastern Europe as soon as she graduates. So I really enjoy travel, and those times away from work really help me recharge and think about possibilities.
You're in Minneapolis right now, correct?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, so you and me both. I just thought I'd, just for everybody, I know this is going to come out a little bit later, but we're in the polar vortex right now. And you in Minneapolis have just had unbelievably cold weather. Are you an outdoorsy person too, or?
Not in the winter, no. In the summer, yes. I live in Minneapolis, which is filled with beautiful lakes that we can run around, bike around, and I feel very fortunate to have Minneapolis in the summer.
Yeah, in the summer. I love that. That's fantastic. Now, who is your hero? Do you have anybody who you would say is your hero?
You know, the woman that was my first boss, her name is Carol Pankros, and she was the one who really inspired me as I started in this profession, that I can have it all. Maybe not all at one time, but I can be a great career woman. I can be a great mother. I can be a great friend. I can give back to my community. I can be involved in professional organizations. So she showed me the value and the reward of having those components in one's life. And I worked with her for just a couple years when I started, but she's always been in the back of my mind as that inspiration of I could have my own firm, and I really am thankful for her.
When you think of the word success, how do you define it and how do you measure it?
When I think of success, I really think about being authentic with my family, with my friends, being a leader in the profession and being a leader in community. And that's really how I define success.
What is one thing that you recommend most to family, friends, or clients? You know, most of us have a go-to thing. I have a book that I always hand out, or I refer to a TED Talk. Do you have one of those things? And if so, what is it?
My go-to recently has been my book, and being able to use that as an opportunity to explain that money doesn't have to be so technical and filled with jargon, and to encourage them to give my book a try. And that has been really successful because I've heard they've come back to me and they've been really surprised with their ability to relate to the concepts in the book and feeling much more connected to have those conversations with their family members. And that's been really rewarding to hear their story and how they're viewing money in their lives.
Who is your favorite person in history and why?
Michelle Obama is. I really love all women leaders, but Michelle Obama is so inspiring in just the balance that she's had professionally and as a mother. And I just really admire her putting herself out there with her story in her book recently.
If you could give a new advisor or agent or person in college any words of wisdom that you wish you would have heard when you were kind of starting up, what would you say?
To believe in yourself, that there's times when we can let self-doubt get in our way of creating new possibilities, and I've been guilty of that too. But there's so much power in just the work that we do and the messages that we give to our clients. Also take that in yourself, and that's where the possibilities will come.
Last question. What is your mantra or motto, or something that you say to yourself to keep yourself focused, especially when you feel off track or down?
So there's an expression that it was a saying, and it was from Downton Abbey. It was from Lady Grantham. And the expression was, we only know what we are capable of when we test the limits. And so that really inspires me, because when I'm feeling down, it may be that I'm just kind of pushing some of those limits, but through that period, there's going to be something new on the other side. And so I remain confident that I will get through that down period because there's something on that other side.
Lady Grantham, hands down, my favorite Downton Abbey character too, by the way. I love that character. I think she's just phenomenal. And great point, right? Really, that it's that point of discomfort that so many of us shy away from because we like to maintain our comfort level, that we really never know what we're capable of because we're always shielding ourselves from that pain that happens. There's a great story about a lobster, right? And the lobster, the only way the lobster can grow is it has to actually get really, really cramped within its shell, and then it basically just bursts out and becomes this new lobster. We're the same thing. And until we hit that level of discomfort and realize that, oh my God, I can live through this, we'll never really know our limits. If somebody wants to hire you, not just as a financial services professional, but maybe come in and speak about your book or some of the other things that you have been so successful in doing, how would somebody get in touch with you, and who should reach out to you in order to take advantage of what you've created?
The best way to reach out to me is via my website, which we're also doing a brand redo. So by the time this goes live, you will see our new brand in there, but it's flourishwealthmanagement.com. And that would be the best way. And in terms of of course, clients, but even other professionals that, need a little bit of time or have a question, or if there's something that inspires them that I could provide some insight, I am happy to help.
Well, Kathy, thank you very, very much for being on the show and talking about the experience of writing a book and how you have used that to grow your practice and letting us get to know you a little bit better.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
If you have not subscribed to the podcast, make sure you click that subscribe now button below. That way, every time we come out with a new one, it'll show up directly on your listening device. And if you don't mind, take a minute to rate the podcast on iTunes. Just go ahead and click that 5 stars, which of course is what we want. And if you would like it even more, we would like it even more if you just gave us a quick review. If you have an idea of something that would be a great topic for us to talk about here on the Top Advisor Marketing Podcast, go ahead and email me at matt@topadvisorm.com, and I'll make sure that my team goes ahead and jumps on those opportunities, because we're always looking for great guests like our guest today, Kathy Longo. So for everybody at Flourish Wealth Management, this is Matt Halloran, and we'll see you on the other side of the mic very soon.
Are you ready to change the way you communicate with your clients? Are you tired of being the best kept secret in your area? Learn how to become a prolific online influencer, attract more ideal clients, and grow your business. Contact us today and see what the power of podcasting can do for your business. Click on the Contact Us link on our website at topadvisormarketing.com and set up a call to learn more. Follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook for more updates and information.
This was brought to you by Iris.xyz, a platform helping financial professionals become better in business and life through new media and new voices. Visit them and learn more at iris.xyz.